He was driven, he was full of energy, and yes, as you've already heard, full of service.
Saying goodbye to a friend and loved one.
He carried the weight of the badge to the fullest extent. He loved his job.
Saying goodbye to a hero.
Little did I know that I would be standing here today. Because the dreams I had and that he shared at 16, this was not one.
Saying goodbye far too soon.
Dom's life ended too soon. His life was cut too short. But make no mistake, that does not mean his life was incomplete.
For the third time in less than 2 years, Northwest Ohio spent the day today honoring a police officer killed in the line of duty.
Bluffton police officer Dominic Francis is gone but never forgotten, and the community showed that today. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Melissa Andrews.
And I'm Jeff Smith. Officials expected as many as 5,000 people to stream in from all over the state supporting their former classmate, fellow officer, and beloved community member.
Law enforcement from Dayton, Lima, Medina, Mansfield, Toledo, Bowling Green, just to name a few, filed into Bluffton University's Summer Center to pay their respects. The crowd heard stories of how devoted 42-year-old Dominic Francis was to his family, his friends, his job, his community, and how he displayed that devotion right up until the last moments of his life.
Dom's love for the people he cared about did not fail, but rather it manifested itself in the most significant, tangible way that one could ever love.
The letter that Officer Dominic Francis was writing is now complete. His untimely passing means that his letter is shorter than it should have been, but what it lacks in length, it makes up for in substance.
The final salute this afternoon involved each member of the Bluffton Police Department, where Officer Francis spent the last 11 years of his career. Officer Francis was laid to rest during a private burial at Clymer Cemetery in Mount Corey.
Friends, family, and hundreds of police officers, thousands really, solemnly saying goodbye to this father, hero, and a fellow member of the Thin Blue Line. And we have live team coverage right now. Madeline Watkins is live at the memorial for the fallen officer, where people line the streets for a final salute to Dominic Francis.
But tonight we are going to start with Michael Sandlin, who is live from Clymer Cemetery. And Michael, tell us about the honor and the respect that you witnessed out there today.
Yeah, Jeff, I think that sums it up perfectly. There truly was an overwhelming amount of love and support that I saw here earlier. And it all started right after the funeral, when police officers from out of town formed a procession and made their way over to this cemetery. Now, that was one of only 2 processions earlier this afternoon, with another one containing friends and family making its way over to Corey Rawson High School so Officer Francis could say goodbye to his alma mater one last time. Francis was contained in an ambulance acting as a hearse, the very same one that arrived to bring him to the hospital the morning of his untimely demise. While the burial itself was closed off to the public at the request of the family, I talked to multiple people who drove out from all corners of the state just to show their support for the family and the department.
But no, I did not know him. Doesn't make any difference if I knew him or not, just show support for him.
I think it's important that civilians and, the community come together and show their respects, no matter where they're from, for any law enforcement agency, because they're having a rough time right now.
Bickle says he brought his son out to the burial earlier today so that he could not only see that police officers are good people, but so he could also see how people treat real heroes. Reporting in Mount Corey tonight, I'm Michael Sandlin for WTOL 11.
And our Madeline Watkins watched along with the rest of us as the procession made its way through town. She joins us now live from Main Street, where people gathered to pay their final respects to this fallen officer. Madeline, what were people around you saying today?
Yeah, Mel, so it was definitely an emotional day here in Bluffton today. I'm standing just along Main Street, and earlier this afternoon, the street was completely full of people coming together to watch the procession that made its way to the cemetery. But I will say, as soon as the ambulance that went by that was carrying Officer Francis to the cemetery, the crowd went completely silent, respecting the procession that was going by. So people from all over Ohio came together today to honor the fallen officer, Officer Dominic Francis, a hero. The town of Bluffton, painted blue with ribbons and balloons, thin blue line flags waving at nearly every corner in the town. Towards the end of Main Street, right along the processional route, waved a huge American flag raised by two different fire departments, the Bluffton Fire Department and the American Township Fire Department, signifying that even different communities came together as one today. Among the many hats that Officer Francis wore, he was also a firefighter.
Even if he wasn't a fireman, he's still one of us. We tease back and forth, but when it comes right down to it, we're all one. We all do somewhat the same job to protect the community that we swore to do. So it means a lot to us to honor a fallen brother.
Everything that people have said about him, his generosity, his kindness, his willingness to help anyone at any time for any reason, everything that they've said is true. He had a heart of gold, and he was just the perfect example of a role model, a positive role model that everyone needs.
Now, that second firefighter that you just heard from, he knew Officer Francis personally, and as you just heard, he said that everything that everyone was saying today, how he was just a generous and a kind man devoted to everyone here in his community and beyond, was all true. And I will say that the memorial that's located right here on Main Street, just outside of Town Hall, I mean, it continues to grow, and I think it will even for weeks to come. So it's safe to say that no one will ever forget about Officer Francis and the man he was. Live in Bluffton tonight, Madeline Watkins, WTOL 11.
During our broadcast of the funeral here on WTOL 11, we received nearly 100 posts from viewers sharing their condolences and prayers for the family. Dan Cummins joining us live in studio with a look at what some of you sent in. Dan?
Jeff, these are posted on our WTOL Facebook page, and you're welcome to go there and add your comments as well tonight. Here's a sample from the day. Amy said, "Rest easy, Officer Francis. Thank you for your unselfish service. May your family find peace, knowing you touched so many lives. May your legacy of love, caring, and dedication be in the hearts of many. You'll not be forgotten." John said, "Rest in peace, brother. We have it from here, sending prayers to family, both blood and blue." And Stacy said, "A wonderful man whom I remember always with a smile on his face, always willing to give a helping hand when it was needed with sports at Van Buren. Rest in peace." The Facebook post is still on our page if you'd like to read more. Reporting tonight, I'm Dan Cummins.